One of the best ways to undermine the far right is to just listen to them. Just play their own words. Sit there, listen to what they have to say. You don't even have to respond. Just listen. And you'll go, oh, you're a fucking idiot. So this is a great example of that here. Here's Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire. It just says so much about his worldview. The thing you're about to hear, it just says so much about his worldview. Listen to this.
A side note on the sick day thing is and you know, this will be unpopular, especially with younger people, but you shouldn't be using sick days, okay? I've used sick days maybe twice in 7 years, and in both of those cases, because I lost my voice and I couldn't speak, you know, you can't blame me for that. It's impossible to do a podcast when you can't speak. And even then, I still, and anyone who has been watching the show for a while, you know this, I still came into the office and recorded a video with subtitles when I lost my voice, if you recall. But generally speaking, again, I know this is unpopular, but sick days are for children, okay? They're for kids in school who are trying to stay home so they don't have to take a test that day. Like, with rare exception, taking a sick day as an adult should be pretty embarrassing for you. Calling your boss and saying, sorry, I can't come in today, my tummy hurts, is humiliating. You need to be at work, okay? Adults don't have time to be sick. You don't have time for it. That's. I was just having this conversation with my kids recently, actually, because I was kind of under the weather, and my kids were aware of that, and they said, well, so why are you going to work? I said, because I don't have time to be sick, okay? I don't know, I can't be, I don't have time. But you are sick, yeah, but I don't have time for it. So it's like, I'm operating as though I'm not.
As I said, I don't even have to say anything. I could cut the segment off now and mission accomplished, right? People are going to take away from that what they should take away from that. Jesus Christ. So let's start with the low-hanging fruit. He's patting himself on the back. Bro, I've taken 2 sick days in like years, and that's just literally because my voice didn't work for my job, bro. I always sort of knuckle up and show up to work here, bro, and do my thing, working hard and stuff, bro. Homie, you do a podcast. You sit in your living room and talk into a microphone. Stop pretending like what you do and what I do is a real job. It is disrespectful to people with real jobs. Who are we kidding? You're not getting this over on anybody. Look, I have the authority to say this because I have worked in the real world and now I do my show. This is much more fun, enjoyable, fulfilling than the jobs I've worked in my life. Okay? This is patting yourself on the back for showing up to your podcast when you're sick. I mean, Jesus, that is pathetic. That's pathetic. Like, if there was ever any job where it's like, yeah, you kind of can show up sick, you're not even around anybody. You're sitting in your living room. Yeah, this is one of maybe few jobs where it'd actually be okay if you want to show up if you're a little under the weather. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is, like, it seems like he doesn't really have a conception that there are some versions of being sick are way worse than others, right? That, like, in some instances with some illnesses, you literally can't work. It depends what you have, right? Like, I had what was the name of the virus? Adenovirus? Something like that. I had that a few years back, and I literally didn't have the mental capacity to read the stories I needed to read and watch the videos I needed to watch in order to perform a show. I was in so much pain. It was so excruciating. It's like my brain shut off. I could look at a sheet of paper and it's like Japanese is there and I can't get it into my head. There are so many different flavors and varieties of sickness. Some of them just make you incapacitated. And he acts like he doesn't know that. And again, I was just talking about adenovirus or whatever it was that I had. That was bad. There's way worse things than that, right? So just like having no understanding of the real world. The other thing is, hey, jackass, sick days for most people. I hope you know this. It's not just about them. It's also about, I'm not trying to make the whole fucking office sick. I'm not trying to go into work when I'm sick and then within a week you got 12 other people that are sick because I'm a selfish asshole and I tried to push through. Well, you just made it worse for everybody. And then how did you affect those people's lives? Now they need to find help and somebody's got to pick up their kid from school because they're bedridden and this, like, It's just so everything's so myopic. Everything's so like fucking tunnel vision. Let me be a fucking moron. That's what this is. Like, you didn't stop to consider maybe it's not about you. Maybe it's about other people and you don't want to make other people sick. You didn't stop to think about that. You didn't stop to think about, okay. And then the other thing is, look, man, what he says there, oh, you need to be at work. You need to be at work. Like, just shut up and get there. You need to go to work. He's telling on himself there. This is what life should be to him. This is what it is. Shut up, work. Shut up, work. So he has this in common with oligarchs and robber barons and billionaires and asshole executives. He looks at them and goes, they have it figured out. You don't exist as a human being in the context of a country in a civilized society playing different roles, doing different things. No, your primary concern is be a cog in the fucking machine and just work and shut the fuck up. Don't cause too much trouble, right? Well, I hate that view of life. I hate that view of life. And it's a uniquely American view of life. It really is. Guys, I forget the number off the top of my head, but it was like, it wasn't even 20% of people that love their job. It wasn't even 20%. And I do something, by the way, that I love. And even for me, occasionally on some days, you're just not into it or whatever, right? Not even 20% of people love their job. So that means more than 80% of people are walking around usually on a day-to-day basis, going through the motions. They don't even really want to necessarily be doing what they're doing on that day. They're doing it because they got to keep a roof over their head and put food in their bellies and pay the bills and all that stuff, right? Like, this guy, his approach to life is, hey, I know like 85% of you are not happy with what you're doing. Shut the fuck up and do it anyway. Don't make a peep. Like, don't be a bitch. Knuckle up. Get back to the fucking coal mine or whatever it is. Get back to the accounting desk. Shut the fuck up. Like, this is his view of the world. I mean, this is how, like, this is tailor-made to create a society that has anxiety and depression and lack of fulfillment and are on all sorts of pharmaceutical pills and desperately trying to find happiness. Like, this is the recipe is there to have that be the outcome, right? And he doesn't know or doesn't care. That's why, look, I'm a realist in this sense. I'm a pragmatist in the sense that even in an ideal system, whatever that means, I still think you'd probably have 50, 60% of people with their job is not really their passion, their love. It's just like, I just got to do it to pay the bills, right? And so since that's a reality of life, that I would want to set up a system. Hey, let's have, a few months paid vacation time, a few months paid sick time. Why not do a 4-day work week? Studies show the workers are just as productive, if not more productive, and they get an extra day off. No downsides whatsoever. So you set up a system that makes people happy, or happier at the very least, right? Paid time off, a 4-day work week. But no, he looks at it and he would say that that's a pussy-ass bitch idea, giving people an extra day off per week. It's a bad idea to have paid sick time and paid family leave and paid vacation time. He would look at that like, oh, you're just weak. You're just being weak. So he is actively arguing for, let's have people in a society that are miserable and that are forced to do things they don't want to do all the time. And then he'll have the nerve to probably turn around in the next segment and say, oh, I support freedom. I'm on the side of freedom. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're on the side of preserving the miserable status quo and, if anything, making it worse. Making people go to work when they're sick. Making people define yourself by your job and get over it. That's just what life is. It's just so bleak, man. And it goes to show you, it's like they are the corporatocracy's best friend. Conservatism, at the end of the day, all it boils down to is being socially authoritarian and controlling your private life. And when it comes to business, shut the fuck up and listen to the owner of the corporations and the billionaires and just rent your life. Rent all the time in your life to this entity that will then give you some money so you can put a roof over your head as you're miserable all day, slaving away in the fucking factory, right? Unbelievable. All right, let's read. I just want to read some of the replies. I love it when Walsh, who most closely resembles a barista in an urban kombuchery, tries to lecture people on manliness. If my job was podcast, I wouldn't call out sick either. Exactly. Don't let a life-threatening illness stop you from making your boss wealthier. Who cares if you are contagious? Get in there and work. A podcast isn't hard work. Motherfucker is a podcaster talking about not taking sick days. He doesn't work and he runs around in a wig all day talking about, I made a movie. When one has something contagious, one ought to stay away from people. This means that in some professions, taking a sick day or few is necessary. It's good you recognize that your job is easy enough that you don't need to call off sick. Well, I work in close quarters with another person in a cockpit. If you show up sick, you're going to get me sick too. Stay home. Says a guy that makes millions from monetized posts. Dude has never worked a real job in his life, and it shows. This is how much your employer cares about your well-being. And then it's an article that says, Wells Fargo employee found dead at her desk days after she last clocked into work, authorities say. Jesus. One person says he's right, and this is another right-wing freak influencer who is wrong about everything. He is such an insufferable, privileged human, it's unreal. Dude has one of the easiest jobs in the world and is preaching how he comes to work. He likely has his own office and assistant who acts as a nurse when he's sick. Let's see him work a regular 9-to-5 job. Matt has been saying some stupid shit recently. Seems he is becoming as out of touch as the people he's criticizing. See, these people, they're like right-wingers who are now criticizing him too. Balance your life. Your family needs you. 20 years from now, the only people who will remember if you worked late are your kids. I'm not running myself into the ground for a company that can let me go for no reason. I mean, these people are just roasting him. These people are roasting him. So anyway, just a putrid, repulsive worldview, and this is what he spreads on a regular basis. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.